Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Wicked, The Murder and Its Afterlife, Part 4. At the memorial service, Glinda and Sir Chuffrey perched in the balcony reserved for dignitaries and ambassadors. The wizard sent a representative, resplendent in his dress reds with the emerald cross marking quadrants on his chest, a crew of bodyguards, and attention all around him. The witch sat below and did not meet Glinda's eyes. Freck swept until he brought on an attack of asthma, and the witch helped him out a side door where he could catch his breath. After service, the wizard's emissary approached the witch. He said, "You have been invited to have an audience with the wizard. He's traveling by a special diplomatic immunity via FedEx to offer his condolences to the family this evening. You will be prepared to meet him at Colwyn Grounds this evening." "He can't come here," said the witch. "He wouldn't dare." "Those who now make the decisions think otherwise," said the emissary. "Be that as it may, he comes under the cover of darkness, and only to speak to you and your family." "My father is not up to receiving the wizard," said the witch. "I won't have it." "He will see you then," said the emissary. "He insists. He has questions of a diplomatic nature to put you. But you are not to make this visit public, or it go very hard on you, on your father and your brother. And on you," he added, as if that was not already evident. She considered how she might use this command audience to use her own advantage. "Serema, the safety of Frex, the fate of Fiyero. I agree," she concluded. "I will meet him." And despite herself, she was glad for a moment that Nestero's magic shoes were safely out of the vicinity. As the vesper bells rang, the witch was summoned from her room by a Munchkin Lander maid. "You will have to submit to a search," said the wizard's emissary, meeting her in an antechamber. "You must understand the protocol here." She concentrated on her fury as she was probed and prodded by the officers who ringed in their waiting area. "What's this?" they said when they found the pages of the grimoire in her pocket. "Oh, that," she said, thinking fast. "His Highness will want to see that." "You can bring nothing in with you," they told her, and they took the page from her. "But by my bloodlines, I can reinstate the office of the eminent Throp tonight and have your leader arrested," she called after them. "Do not tell me what I can and cannot do in this house." They paid her no mind and ushered into a small chamber, bare but for a couple of upholstered chairs set upon a flowery carpet. Among the baseboards, dust mites rolled in the draught. "His Highness, the Emperor Wizard of Oz," said an attendant, and withdrew. For a moment the witch sat alone. Then the wizard walked in the dining room. He was without disguise, a plain-looking older man wearing a high-collar shirt and a great coat with a watch and fob hanging from a waistcoat pocket. His head was pink and mottled, and tufts of hair stuck out above his ears. He mopped his brow with a handkerchief and sat down, motioning the witch to sit. She did not sit. "How do you do?" he said. "What do you want with me?" she answered. "There are two things," he said. "This is what I'd come here to say to you, and then there's a matter of what you bring to my attention." "You talk to me," she said, "for I have nothing to say to you." "There is no point in beating around the bush," he said. "I would like to know your intentions about your position at the Eminence." Had I any intentions," she said, "it would be none of your business." "Ah, alas, it is my business for you reunification is underway," said the wizard. "Even as we speak, I understand that Lady Glinda, bless her well-meaning foolishness, has sensibly evacuated both the unfortunate girl and the tomatic shoes from the district, which would make annexation less troublesome. I would like to have those shoes in my possession to prevent their giving you ideas. So you see, I need to know your intentions in the matter. You are not, I take it, in warm sympathy with your sister's style of religious tyranny. But I do hope you do not intend to set up shop here. If you do, we must strike a little bargain, something I was never able to do with your sister. There's little for me here, said the witch, and I am not suited to govern everyone, not even myself, it seems. Besides, there's the small matter of the army at, is it Red Windmill? The town below Kiamiko. So that's why they've been here all these years, said the witch. To keep you in check, he said. An expense, but there you are. Despite you, I should reclaim the title of eminence, said the witch, but I care little for those foolish people. What the Munchkinlanders do now is of no interest to me, as long as my father is left unharmed, if that is all. There is the other matter, he said. His manner became more lively. You brought a page with you. I wonder where you got it. That is mine, and your people have no right to it. What I want to know is where you got it, and where I can find the rest. What will you give me if I tell you? What do you want from me? Was why she had to agree with him. She do agree with death. To know if Sarima, Dowager Princess of the Arjikis, is still alive, and where I might find her, and how I might negotiate her freedom. The wizard smiled. How all things work together. Now, isn't it interesting that I could get as of your concern? He waved his hand. Unseen attendants outside the open door ushered in a dwarf in clean white trousers and tunic. No, it wasn't a dwarf she saw. It was a young woman crouching. Chains sewn into the collar of her tunic ran through her clothes to her ankles, keeping her bent over. The chains were only 2 or 3 feet long. The witch had to peer to see that it was Nor. She would have been 16 by now, or 17. That age Elphie had been when she went to Crage Hall at Shoots. Nor, said the witch. Nor, are you there? Nor's knees were filthy, and her fingers were curled around links around her bondage. Her hair was short, and welts were visible beneath patchy tresses. She tossed her head as if listening to music, but she would not shift her gaze towards Elphaba. Nor, it's Auntie Witch. I've come to bargain for your release, at last, said the witch, improvising. But the wizard motioned unseen attendants to usher Nor out of sight. I'm afraid that is not possible, he said. She is my protection from you, you see. The others? Said the witch. I must know. Everything is undocumented, said the wizard, but I believe Sarima and her sisters are all dead. The witch's breath caught in her chest. The last hopes of forgiveness, gone. But the witch was continuing. Perhaps some underling who had no authority in the matter had an appetite for a bloodbath. It's so hard to get a reliable help in the armed forces. Irji, said the witch, gripping her elbows. Now, he had to die, said the wizard apologetically. He was next in line to be the prince, wasn't he? Tell me it was not brutal, said the witch. Oh, tell me so. The paraphernalia, admitted the wizard. Well, it was a public affair, a statement you all need to be made. There now, against my better judgment, I've told you what you needed to know. Now it is your turn. Where can I find the book this page is from? The wizard took the paper out of his pocket and pressed it onto his lap. His hands were trembling. He looked at the page. A spell for the administration of dragons, he said wonderingly. Is that what it is? She said, surprised. I could not be sure. Of course, you must have had a hard time making this out, he said. You see, it does not come from this world. It comes from my world. He was mad, obsessed with other worlds, like her father. You are not telling the truth, said the witch, hoping she was right. Oh, what I care for the truth, he said. But I am truthful, as it happens. Why would you want to do that, said the witch, trying to buy some time, trying to figure out how she could barter for Nor's life. I don't even know what it is. I doubt you do either. I do, he said. This is an ancient manuscript of magic, generated in a world far away from this one. It was long thought to be merely legendary, or else destroyed in the dark onslaughts of the northern invaders. It had been removed from our world for safety by a wizard more capable than I. It is why I came to Oz in the first place, he continued, almost talking to himself, as old men are prone to do. Madame Blavatsky located it in a crystal ball, and I made the appropriate sacrifices, and arrangements to travel here 40 years ago. I was a young man, full of ardor and failure. I had not intended to rule a country here, but just to find this document and return to its world and study its secrets there. What kind of sacrifices, she said. You do not step for murder here. Murder is a word used by the sanctimonious, he said. It is an expedient expression which they condemned any courageous action beyond their ken. What I do, cannot be murder. For coming from another world, I cannot be held accountable to the silly conventions of naive civilization. I am beyond the lisping, childish recital of wrongs and rights. His eyes did not burn as he spoke. They were sunk behind veils of cold blue detachment. If I give you the Grimmery, will you go? She said. Give me Nor, and take your brand of evil and leave us alone at last. I am too old to travel now, he said, and why should I give up what I have worked for all these years? Because I will use this book and destroy you with it if you don't, she said. You cannot read it, he said. You are of Oz, and you cannot do such a thing. I can read more of it than you suspect, she said. I do not know what it means. I have seen the pages about unleashing the hidden energies of matter. I have seen pages about tampering with the orderly flow of time. I have seen disquisitions about weapons too vile to use, about how to poison water, about how to breed a more docile population. There are diagrams of weapons and torture. Through the drawings and the world seem misty to my eyes. I can continue to learn. I am not too old. These are ideals of great interest in our times, he said, though he seemed surprised that she had taken in that as much as she had. Not to me, she said. You have done enough already. If I give you, you will surrender. Nor to me. You should not trust my promise, he said, sighing. Really, my child. But he continued to stare at the page she had handed over him. One might learn how to subjugate a dragon to one's own purposes, he mused, and flipping the page over to read what was in the back. Please, she said, I think I might have begged for anything in my life, but I beg of you. It is not right you should be here. Assuming for a moment you can sometimes tell the truth, to go back to the other world, go anywhere, just leave the throne, leave us alone. Take the book with you. Do it with what you will. Let me accomplish at least this in my life. In exchange for my telling you about the kin of your beloved Fiyero, you are to tell me what this book is, he reminded her. Well, I won't, she answered. I have revised my offer. Give me Nor, and I will get you the Grimmery. The book is already hidden, so you deeply will never find it. You have not the skill. She hoped she was being persuasive. He stood and pocketed the page. I shall not have you executed, he said. At least not this audience. I will have that book for there. You cannot bind me to a promise. I am beyond being bound by words. I will think of what you said, but meanwhile I keep you as my young slave girl at my side, for she is my defense against your anger. Give her to me, said the witch. Not now. Now. Act like a man. Not like a mountebank. Give her to me, and I will send you the book. It is for others to bargain, said the wizard. Rather than sounding offended, he seemed merely depressed, as if he were talking to himself instead of her. I do not bargain, but I do think. I will wait and see how the reunification of the Munchkin goes, and if you do not interfere, I may be kindly disposed to think about what you have said. But I do not bargain. The witch breathed in deeply. I have met you before, you know. You once granted me an interview in the throne room when I was a schoolgirl from Shiz. Is that so? He said, of course, you must have been one of the darling girls of Madame Mortal. The wonderful ate and helped me in her dotage now, but in her heyday, what she must have taught me about breaking the spirit of willful young girls. No doubt, like the rest, you were taken with her. She tried to recruit me to serve some master. Was it you? Who can say? We were always hatching some plot or another. She was good fun. She would never be as crude as that. He pointed to the door through while crouching Nora could still be seen. Humming to herself, she could manage girl students with such great finesse. He was about to leave the room, but he turned the back door. You know, now that I remember, it was she who warned me about you. She told me you had betrayed her. You had rejected her offers. She was the one who advised me to have you watched. It was because of her that we found out about your little romance with a diamond skin prince. No! So you've met me before. I had forgotten. In what form did I appear? She had to clutch herself to keep from vomiting. You were a skeleton with lighted bones dancing to a storm. Oh, yes. That was clever, that was. Were you impressed? Sir, she said, I think you are a very bad wizard. And you, he answered, stung, are only a character of a witch. Wait, she called as she headed through the panel. Wait, please. How will I receive your answer? I will send a messenger to you before the year is out. The panel slammed tightly behind him. She fell to her knees. Her forehead dropped along to the floor. At her sides, her fist clenched. She had no intention of surrendering the Grimly to such a monster, ever. If only she would die to keep it out of his hands. But could she arrange a deception that he would surrender Nora to her first? She left a few days later, making sure that her father was not to be turned out in the Colon grounds. He did not want to join her in the Vinkus. He was too old to make the journey. Besides, he thought that Shell would come back sooner or later looking for him. The witch knew that Frex wouldn't live long, grieving so long for Nessa Rose. She had tried to put her anger at him when she said goodbye for what she expected was the last time. As she strode through the forecourt of Colwyn Ground, she crossed paths once more with Glinda, but both women averted their eyes and hurried their feet along their opposing ways. For the witch, the sky was a huge boulder pressing down on her. For Glinda, it was much the same, but Glinda wheeled out and cried, "Oh, Elfie!" The witch did not turn. They never saw each other again. And that's the end of that chapter. See you.